Damian Carter was 24 years old, brilliant in theory, broke in practice. He lived in a crumbling studio apartment on the east side of Detroit, where the radiator hissed all night and the neighbors yelled through walls thinner than regret. A philosophy major in his final semester, he balanced lectures on Nietzsche with shifts at the 24-hour gas station on 8 Mile and Groesbeck. He was handsome in an unpolished way, tousled hair, weary eyes, a crooked smile that suggested both humor and hardship. Life hadn't given him much, but he still moved with a certain quiet grace, the kind you see in people who haven't stopped hoping yet. One rainy Thursday evening, his life changed. The bell above the gas station door jingled, and in stepped a woman like no other Damian had ever seen. She didn't belong in this part of the city. Her umbrella was black silk, her coat tailored European wool. The moment she entered, the smell of money displaced the odor of diesel and cigarettes. "Premium," she said, handing him her keys. "And could you wipe the windshield?" Her voice was precise, British but not warm. Damian nodded, stepping out into the rain. Her car was a 2023 Bentley, glossy as oil, humming like a contented predator. As he worked, she watched him from the doorway. "You have kind hands," she said when he returned the keys. "Excuse me, in your eyes," she continued. "They look back. Most people's don't." He didn't know what to say. She left without another word. The next evening, she returned. Then again the next. By the fourth night, they were sitting on overturned milk crates behind the station, sipping vending machine coffee under a leaky awning. She told him her name, Margaret Ellington. Widowed, no children, owner of Ellington Steel. "You're joking," Damian said. "As in, the Margaret Ellington?" "Yes," she said flatly. "Do you find that strange? I guess I just didn't expect to be drinking coffee behind a gas station with a Forbes billionaire." "I didn't expect to enjoy it either," she replied. Then she said it. "Marry me." Damian choked on his coffee. "I'm sorry." "What? You heard me. I want companionship. Someone intelligent. Someone who sees me as a person, not a wallet. I'm too old for games. You'll live in comfort. No obligations. Just company." He laughed, but she didn't. It was a real offer. The papers were drawn the next day. She even made him sign a prenuptial agreement, not to protect herself, but to ensure he would inherit the majority of her estate if she died. 7 days later, Damian Carter became Mr. Damian Ellington. The world lost its mind. Social media blew up, headlines screamed, "Gold-digging student marries 71-year-old millionaire." Late-night talk shows made jokes. Strangers called him a con artist, a gigolo. But in private, Margaret was poised and unaffected. "Let them scream," she said. The world is always screaming. Her estate was a 200-year-old mansion perched on a cliffside in northern Michigan. It had towers, gardens, rooms filled with ancient books, and a kitchen the size of a basketball court. A butler named Felix greeted them at the door. "Welcome, Mr. Ellington," he said with a bow that felt more like a warning. Damian spent the first 3 days in disbelief. He had never worn silk robes. Never had wine older than the Civil War. Every morning, Margaret would appear in velvet gowns, her long gray hair braided like a queen's. She walked slowly but deliberately, eyes sharp, voice low. On the 4th day, Damian asked to see the West Wing. "No," she said simply. "That part of the house is private. Don't enter it." Her voice held no threat, but something in her eyes made his spine stiffen. That night, they dined alone in the great hall. Candles lined the table like sentinels. The walls were hung with paintings, ancestors, Margaret said. All pale, all cold. "You've studied philosophy," she said over venison. "Do you believe the soul can be transferred?" He blinked. "Transferred how? Like reincarnation?" "No, I mean, extracted, stored, planted somewhere else." He tried to laugh, but she didn't smile. "I read about experiments," she continued. "Digital consciousness. Some believe we're close, very close." That night, she kissed him gently on the forehead before bed. "I chose you for your kindness," she said, "but also for your structure." He didn't sleep. At 3 a.m., Damian wandered the hallways. Something pulled him toward the West Wing. The door was locked, but inside his robe pocket, he found a key. He paused, heart racing, then turned it. The door creaked open, revealing not an old wing of dusty rooms, but a laboratory. Fluorescent lights, computers, glowing blue tanks with white cables floating like jellyfish tendrils. Servers buzzed softly, blinking red and green in the dark. In the center stood a transparent chamber. Like a vertical glass coffin. A monitor blinked awake. He stepped back, nearly falling. On a metal table lay a tablet. The document open on its screen read, Project Rebirth, Final Protocol. It was a manifesto, a confession, a scientific roadmap. Margaret had spent 10 years building this. Failures, dead test subjects. But now, she had found a match. Him. Host must be genetically compatible. Structurally stable. Male. Preferably under 30. No close family. High emotional compliance. She'd been watching him for months. He wasn't a husband. He was a vessel. He ran to the master bedroom, tablet in hand. Margaret sat up in bed as he entered, calm, untouched by the chaos. "You found it," she said. "Are you insane?" He shouted. "No, I'm dying. My body is fading, but my mind is as sharp as it ever was. I refuse to let it rot. You're trying to steal me. I'm trying to be you." He grabbed the phone. No signal. He bolted for the door, but it locked with a loud metallic snap. Panic flooded his chest. Her voice came from the speaker. "You won't die, Damien. You'll just make room." He smashed furniture, screamed. No one came. Sometime before dawn, he found a vent. A narrow passage behind the server room. He squeezed through it, bleeding from the elbows, crawling in the dark. Hours later, he emerged in the greenhouse. And standing there was Margaret. But younger, not herself. A woman in her 30s, glassy-eyed, wearing a hospital gown. "Help me," she whispered. "Help me, Damien." He stepped back, horrified. Another screen lit up beside her. Margaret's face. "Beautiful, isn't she? My first clone. Unfortunately, unstable. I need better. I need you." He ran into the woods, heart pounding. By the time he reached the nearest town, he was filthy, barefoot, hoarse. The police listened politely, then called in a social worker. A young man claiming his elderly wife wanted to steal his soul. They chalked it up to a breakdown. Paranoia. Maybe he'd married her for money, then regretted it. Margaret, she denied everything. "I love my husband," she said in an interview. "He's just not well." A week later, Damien received a letter. It contained a photo of his mother, taken that morning on her porch in Florida. The message, "Come back. You'll find the terms adjusted." He returned. Margaret greeted him in the library. "I was wrong to rush," she said. "Let's make it gentle." He nodded slowly. "Just one question. Why me, really?" She looked at him for a long moment. "Because you won't fight. You're kind. And kind people make the best hosts. The body won't reject me." That night, he entered the chamber. She entered hers. The countdown began. 10, 9, 8. He closed his eyes. 3, 2, 1. White light. Silence. When Damien opened his eyes, he was still himself. Margaret's body twitched once, then stopped. On the screens, static. No voice. Because Damien wasn't just a philosophy student. He was also a coder. A hacker. He had found the root server, weeks earlier. Studied the system. Designed a trap, an infinite loop, a mirror simulation. When the transfer began, Margaret's mind was copied, not into him, but into an empty data lake. A blank prison. The body died. The mind drifted. He destroyed the lab, burned the West Wing to ashes. The will went into effect. He inherited everything. The media mourned the eccentric heiress who died peacefully in her sleep beside her young husband. Damien now lives in Austria. Quietly, anonymously, he funds charities, reads poetry, walks alone in the snow. In his basement sits a single humming server, labeled ME. Sometimes, he logs in. And he hears her. "Damien, please, I'm still here, let me out." He never answers. But he listens. Because some prisons are deserved. And some ghosts should never be freed.